You also can't fall asleep smiling. That's true. But you can be happy. All right, may I?
Yes.
Okay. Oh yeah, we're totally doing thank yous. But not until I say this. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Falzer Club. Let's get ready to rumble. Yeah. In this corner, yeah, give it up. In this corner, representing sales and founder-led growth, Michael, have you had enough yet, Bertoni?
Sales.
And in this corner, weighing in for the product-led growth pups of the world, it is Liam. Hit me, baby, one more time, Fitzgerald. Give it up. And we're just starting. I'm Felicite Moorman, the co-founder of the Falzer Club, but perhaps more importantly, Boss Tech, your business operating system super app. All of the apps you need in one place at sign-on. No IT team required. Sorry. So, let's learn a little bit more about our contenders. Oh, I'll do it. No, I'm starting with the older school. Forgive me. All right, Michael Bertoni, you know him as the CEO of SaaS Talent, but an enterprise sales leader. Companies like Google and Oracle. He has 20 plus years experience, but you wouldn't know it from looking at him, and represents the generation of operators that grew up with a sales lead. In this corner, Liam Fitzgerald, who is Chief Growth Officer at SaaS Tech and Talent, and funded B2B SaaS founder and enterprise consultant. He led product and marketing initiatives at Salesforce and VMware, and represents the younger generation that champions product-led growth, for better or for worse. I'm Felicite Moorman, and I'm here moderating because I've done both. Let's go.
Love it. So we're going to give some thank yous first, right?
There you go.
So let's give some thank yous. So you want to first do the Dwayne Morris. So
I got a blurb here. So Dwayne Morris. So we got a bunch of sponsors. We got a bunch of partners. So first of all, thank you all for being here. Give yourselves all a round of applause. And in that corner, we got John rocking in from Dwayne Morris.
John from Dwayne Morris.
This is a
timing.
WWE
Woo!
SmackDown, everybody. So Dwayne Morris is a full-service law firm with more than 900 attorneys and offices across the United States and internationally. Has its headquarters in Philadelphia. By sponsoring the SaaS and Tech Growth Meetup, the firm and John Clario supports the continued growth of Philadelphia's tech community. Emily Meehan, an attorney at the firm who advises clients on corporate governance matters, venture capital transactions, and mergers and acquisitions, is here with us today. John, there was no way I was ever going to remember that. So I got my phone.
If you need legal help, go to John and Emily, right? Simple.
All right, Mike, you got the rest.
All right, so Bo, does everybody know Bo from United Effects Ventures? I don't think he could be here, but they're a sponsor, so check them out. They have events every month. They actually have an event coming up, I think, now or this weekend, right, over the next few days, so check them out. Broadpath is here, so Broadpath, Kevin is here, and they are focused in on content, so they're going to be your content partner, they're going to be your PR partner, so talk to him if you'd like to learn more about that. And we got Greg. Where's Greg? I can never say his last name right. Where's Greg Lazarowitz? Greg! I know, I always say it wrong. Here, say it the right way, Zach.
Lazarowitz.
Okay, so from HopSkip, and then Technically is a partner of ours. Everybody know Technically Media? Check them out. They've got great stuff. They cover, so there's one real good SaaS and tech PR partner that actually writes and does a lot of writing for more magazines or articles. That's Technically, and then also Code and Coffee. So you want to say a little something about Code and Coffee real quick, Liam?
I'm going to give Code and Coffee the intro that Tony would want. So a lot of people know Code and Coffee. They're just great people. They put on great events, and they have some cool stuff coming around the corner. So keep a lookout for Tony, Nolan, and Chris. They're great people, and they do good stuff. That's all I got to say.
So I just turned 52.
Happy birthday.
So I just turned 52. So this guy over here, he's 26. Exactly half.
Are you that
right?
old?
So I'm here to get everybody excited, right? So the sales guy in the room gets people excited, right? So is everybody excited to be here? This is an amazing place, Falzer Club, right? Falzer Club has events here all the time. They do music venues, so you got to come back here. This place is amazing, isn't it? So give it a big round. This place is amazing. Yeah, so come. Whoa, we've got people in the nosebleeds up there. Look at that. Beautiful. So thank you so much for coming. This event is really taking off. We're trying to build an amazing ecosystem. SaaS and Tech Growth Meetup is all about building entrepreneurs, tech leaders, investors, bringing everybody together to support each other. So that's why we're here. So thank you so much for coming.
All right, let's go. All right, I think you took half my lines. I'm fine. I'm teasing. So the product-led growth versus sales and founder-led growth, is it really a battle, or is there more nuance to it? So tell us, what did it look like in the dinosaur era? Oh, I mean the early days. I'm sorry. They asked me to moderate. You know I'm going to poke.
Okay.
How I'm going to quit with the age jokes now, but I didn't realize he was like 12.
Yeah, so he's...
So I'm glad you're here. So how did it go? What was the process? How did you connect? And then how did you actually close?
Yeah, so this is a great story. So I started with a company called Computer Associates. Does anybody know Computer Associates? Right? Oh, great client of yours, great. So they had acquired a company called Platinum. Does anybody remember Platinum? Okay, so I was selling a product line that was industry leading called Irwin Data Modeling. And basically when I got the job, we had an inside BDR sales team with 20 people. This is no joke, 20 people. There was no air conditioning. I'm telling you, there was no air conditioning, 20 people in a room making cold calls. And there was a guy that walked around the room. His name was Jim Tedesco. He would walk around the room, and it was 80 phone. You got to make 80 phone calls a day. You got to make 80 phone calls a day, and that's what it was about. We basically made phone calls. That's what it was about. And we closed business, and I hit quota, and I went to club for 4 straight years at Computer Associates. And that's really what it took. You had to outreach to people, make phone calls, book meetings, and close business, right? That's what it was all about back in the good old days.
Listen, you and I are close in age. I'll leave it at that as a lady. But I feel you. So when in your career then did you start noticing products coming into play as a sales mechanism?
Yeah, so the first real product that, believe it or not, that I really started looking at it more was Slack, right? So in terms of product-led growth, everybody uses Slack, right? Who uses Slack in the room? Does everybody use Slack? Right, so we're using Slack for basically our communication in our entire company, and it's free. It's, for the most part, it's free, and we have some upgrades that we have, and that was really the first company that I think took off in terms of product-led growth, and now they're selling to large enterprises. Right, so that's the company that I really noticed was really changing the game.
Yep. So, Rumble time. Give me some product perspective. How did this fit into your space, and what did you learn in product-led?
Well, I think we try to do a little bit too much of it. So I think I'll just kick it off with that, right? So my preface to the whole thing is we want you to walk away with a better understanding of you need both. So I think at the early days, that 0 to 1, you need founder-led sales. And then I think if you have a distribution engine built, then product-led growth becomes more of a growth lever that you can really rely on and utilize. but my generation, you have a lot of people who care a lot about the aura of being the product-led growth founder, and because of that, businesses shut down. We would go into networking events, and people would think that we had millions in the bank and that we didn't need anything from anyone, and because of it, and because we weren't hungry enough in the sales way, and we were just building the best possible product that we could, we weren't able to really sustain that over a long-term period, and ended up doing consulting to keep the doors open, which a lot of SaaS companies do, and if they're saying that they don't, they are doing that. So yeah, that's kind of like how my introduction to product-led growth was. The only person that I know that was really able to figure that out built a marketing and distribution engine and a personal brand where he was able to really leverage that whole process. And he built out influencer marketing channels before anyone was using these platforms where you could book influencers. And I think the personal brand is where that becomes really relevant, or at the point where you're an exited founder and you've done this thing before and you know how to get to 0 to 1 really well, and you rely on those strategic connections. But when you're doing it for the first time, trying to build a B2C type of app for 1 million people, it's just not something that I would recommend, and that's why we went B2B. But B2B requires that 0 to 1 founder-led sales. So that's my take on product in a nutshell, just to kick it off.
All right, well, I know this is SaaS Tech and Growth Meetup, but we have some new faces in the crowd, which I'm super excited about. Thanks, y'all, for coming. And if you could just rewind for 1 second and talk about 0 to 1. I don't know that everybody knows what that means and how challenging it can be. So I'd love for you to hit on just what that means, and that'll do.
Yeah, I mean, so Mike and I work with this every day, right? So 0 being, you could be at the ideation stage, you could even be pre-ideation, you could be, working a corporate job and looking to start something of your own. And 0 to 1 really means just nuts and bolts, the foundational things that you need to build. And that's what we're working on now with people, is building out those foundational assets, right? That means getting that LinkedIn page up, getting that website up, getting that deck that you can use as a repurposable piece of content for other areas of your business so that you don't have to recreate new assets every time. It could be building for a fundraise, understanding at the pre-seed stage that you need, let's say 60K ARR and 5K MRR and, all these things, right? That's that beginning phase when you're going through the incorporation process and deciding on LLC versus C Corp. And then, as you go, right, you're trying to get those early users and those early customers. And with B2B, the baseline is just lower of what you need. So if you get 10 customers paying you $3,000 a month, I mean, you're doing 30K a month, right? That's a good month. That's enough to pay 3 full-time US hires, right? So this is the way that I would go 0 to 1 now, had I known then what I do now, right? And last thing I'll say to that point, when I joined Mike 8 months ago, the first thing that we did is just go through my LinkedIn. And I kicked myself for it when I first started, because he wanted me to do outreach and just hit quota on number of messages a day. And for better and for worse, I just didn't want to be that BDR function, but that's what's required from founders. And it's the mystique and the aura and I'm too cool to do founder-led sales, and it's BS, right? It's just not the case. At the end of the day, if someone's upset about a message that you sent them on LinkedIn, they're probably not someone that you want in your business, on your cap table or otherwise. And from that, we closed deals that were part of my warm network from when I had my company that I could have reached out to, but I just hadn't done the founder-led sales part. So that's my 0 to 1 story.
Yeah, 0 to 1 is really hard, right? So I brought Liam in about 7 months ago, and so I basically hacked through getting 0 to 1. 0 to 1 a lot of times means 0 to 1 million. And so I just got to tell you, I am still the sales guy, but I'm not going to grow if I don't operationalize, if I don't do more things that Liam's bringing, in terms of founder-led growth. So the 0 to 1 story is about you got to be out there at the foundational level. If you're, who in the room right now is a startup who is trying to go from 0 to 1, is trying to go from beginning and trying to grow? Like, who's doing that?
Woo!
All right. So, I have some clients in the room here, and if you're not, at the end of the day, if you're not having a few good conversations with your ideal customer profile every week, right? If you're not looking back and doing that, that's the 0 to 1 story, right? You have to do that. That's a necessity to be able to go from 0 to 1. If you're not having these conversations every week, you're not going to get there. And I was getting a lot of those conversations, and I got to 0 to 1, but I got to tell you, what Liam brings in terms of operations, in terms of product-led growth, is helping us scale.
Thanks, Mike. I thought this was supposed to be
Mike.
smart. Where are the jabs?
Okay.
I know, there's so
It's
much.
a love fest.
There's a lot of love in
That's
the
all
room.
right. Listen, I'll take it. I'll take the love fest. So for anybody who's unaware, a product-led growth product is a product that sells itself. But to the gentleman's point, it's not going to sell itself if it's in no one's hands. So you have to get from 0. One could be one client, depending on how you look at it. So you have to move beyond that isolated moment where the product could be phenomenal, it could be crap, but you don't know because nobody's using it. So that's the moment where you actually get feedback and understanding about your product. I do want to follow up real quick, and forgive me, Liam, I'm coming to you. You said twice that you called people. Can you explain what that means? How did you call? Did you just yell out your door? I'm teasing, but I'm not, because for those who are aware, 85% of Gen Z experience actual, and I have 3 of them in my life, experience actual anxiety prior to making a phone call. That's legitimate. And listen, practice makes perfect. No practice makes, apparently, anxiety. But can you talk a little bit about how you engage your first ICP today in the world of AI and crazy chaos technology?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first part of that story is we would make phone calls. We would have scripts. We would be. It was actually in effect easier because you basically had phone and email, and that was it, right? And you knew who your customer was, and you had maybe an Excel spreadsheet or some type of CRM, and it was basically like, call these people, but then you had to learn how to do a script, you had to learn how to pitch them, you had to learn how to talk to them, you had to learn how to get meetings, demos, close business, all over the phone. So yeah, it was stressful, but now you have an omni-channel approach. Right, so does everybody know what I mean when I say omni-channel? Does everybody understand? So you could still use the phone, but you could use the phone, you can text, you can send a LinkedIn connection message, you can basically send people campaigns over email, and there's all these different, there's almost too many ways to get a hold of the customer now, where you just you don't know what to do. So nowadays we call it more touches. Where you might, just a strategy would be you might like someone's posts for a period of time. You might message them, send them a connection message, right? Then maybe give them a phone call. So it's more of an omni-channel approach to get in the door. Everything still works, but it's more different types of platforms to touch people.
And to that point, with regards to touch, the latest surveys are showing that it actually requires 11 touches for customer acquisition. Yeah. So I don't know if there can be too many at that rate, and if your inbox looks like my inbox, whew, that's troublesome.
Let me just tell you something right now. Nobody cares. Like, nobody gives a shit about your product, right? Nobody cares. Like, it is harder than ever to get people to care in this market, right? More messages is bad, right? So so building like this community and your warm network and your buyer, so we could have Kevin French. Is Kevin French here? Mm-hmm. Kevin French. So yeah, I'll take some quotes from Kevin. Your buyer knows already more than you do about what you do, and they know who you are, and they know more about you than ever before. That basically, Kevin's putting out this whole thing how it's switched. Like the buyer has more information now than ever before, right? They're getting bombarded with messages, and they don't care. They're turning your stuff off, right? It's hard, right? And so that's why it's extremely important to really focus on a niche ideal customer profile, like really focus on add value to them, and because it's just hard to get people to care.
And that's a great segue, Liam. I told you I'd come back. So if nobody cares about your product, is it a great product? Can you have a phenomenal product and not have traction?
Well, I guess it's like if a tree falls in the forest and no one hears it, did it actually happen, right? Like, I think we had a great product. We had 10, paying businesses using our product. 4 of those were Y Combinator-backed companies. And at the end of the day, did it matter? Well, it mattered to them. So I would say it matters. It matters to you. It matters how you treat those people and those experiences. I do think that people care about maybe the first jab, not a jab, but I think people do care about the product more than ever. But if no one knows about it, then it doesn't matter, right? So I think if you have a product, right? So before you get anyone in the door, I think that's just a part of getting conversations going, and that's where like the shortcoming happens, right? So if you're not able to have the conversations, that's the point where I think, to your point, like I don't think you should be focused on the product, right? That's the way that I would put it from like a product perspective. I think it's so much easier now to build a product that it actually matters more how you design a product, because on Lovable, in design, you have these things called the heuristic principles of design. And with those, that could be everything from reducing clicks to, it takes 3 actions to get to this end result versus like 7 on a different platform. And that could be the difference between if you have daily active users or not. And when you're actually going through a diligence process with investors, they care about your daily active users. So I would definitely say there is, on one hand, different business models that we have to clarify that, right? So there's agency-based approaches, there are SaaS businesses, there are MSP businesses, there are AI-first businesses, there are agentic tools that are just doing one specific, agent for a goal type work. And I think in cases like that, it matters a lot in specific industries if your product is really doing what it's supposed to. Sometimes businesses have, their own internal CRM system. I think in this case, I don't think design matters as much, because the goal could be fulfilling payroll, right? Or it could be a platform like Flare for like employee benefits. I don't think the UI really matters that much, but I think when you look at Slack, I think it does, right? I want to be able to create an organization to be able to onboard a new customer really easily. I have to be able to go through that flow quickly. And I think that's one thing that has changed. We paid a development agency $20,000 to build our MVP 3.5 years ago. That's ridiculous. No one would do that now. Not for an MVP. And if you're charging that for an MVP, it's only a matter of time before people catch up and realize they can vibe code something on Lovable, which an engineer would not even really consider vibe coding, that you can do that for nothing, right? So I think design matters more than ever, but I think just the human in the loop is the important piece here, and the way that your customers are interacting and that you're tracking that data. And that's, I think, the only way to tell if it's the right product that you built or not.
Yeah, that I'm always curious about founders who build stealth. I'm more of a build in public kind of gal. Yeah. And so, I worry for that founder who believes that they can build without the feedback loop that's so valuable. Something you mentioned I think is really important for product-led growth today. Wes Bush just sent out an email, kind of the guru of product-led growth today, that said, if you're going to rely on product-led growth, you now have to deliver value in 60 seconds. That's significantly less than it was even 6 to 12 months ago. So that, that made me think about a lot of things today. That was not the coffee I wanted, but it's true. And, I know you work with, Mike, a lot of founders in this space. What mistakes are you seeing around this for founders of SaaS trying to deliver via product-led growth?
Yeah, I mean, I see like early stage companies, they basically, when you come in and you say, I sell to everybody, that's just not, I mean, the reality is most of the time that's not going to work, right? So a lot of very early stage people, they like, you have to know exactly who your customer is, right? How old they are, what their title is, what industry they work in, right? And you have to know their pain points. You have to know if they're male or female. You have to know everything about that customer in order to sell to them, right? That is the most important thing that I see missing all the time, right? And so the other thing, they just don't know. The sales, again, the process of selling is still like looked down upon, right? And it's unfortunate, but it is. It's still looked down upon, like, you're selling me or you're selling, but that's what you have to do. You have to target your customer, and you have to like understand, and you have to deal with their pains and solve them, right? And it's really, really hard, and I see it over and over and over again with early stage companies. The other thing that I see is just spreading, as they're scaling, they're spreading themselves too thin, right? So the founder that's also doing sales, that's also doing product, that's also doing tech, right? I mean, if you're trying to scale your company, you got to buy back your time, and you have to have people on your team that are handling these areas for you, and that's the hardest. I mean, that's what I'm dealing with right now in terms of scaling. It's really hard, right? So again, I'll give some love back here. So I just want to sell, right? That's not going to work, right? So I got to grow operationally and scale and grow all the different business areas. So that again is what Liam's bringing in terms of product-led growth and what he's learned. It's really helping me.
So another great segue, thank you. How do you tell? How do you tell when founder-led sales and product-led growth meet up and deliver your scalability? What's the point? What do we look for as founders to make the transition from one to the other? Obviously, Liam, if your product-led growth and you're not getting traction in clients, that's kind of a sign that you might need to ship your founder. But when you lead with founder sales, when did you decide that you need to enhance that? It can't just be you.
Yeah, I mean, I just knew it was an issue. I mean, I've been dealing with it for probably 2 years, and just sales, I was selling. I'm never going to have a sales problem in my company. I bring in clients, but if, for my particular company, if recruiting operationally and talent acquisition operationally, if that's not working, my company isn't growing. I mean, I've been staying kind of stagnant for like the last 2 years. And I realized just over my journey over the last 2 years that I didn't have these operational scaling skills on my team, right? And I just kept selling stuff, and then my team wasn't delivering, right? So we would grow to a certain amount of requirements we're working on, and then we would break again, and then we go back down. And I'm like, it's just you're beating yourself up. So, when I met Liam, he has the blend of sales, product-led, but also operations. So it was like, I just kept banging my head against the wall and then we're trying to go from there. So that's when I learned it.
Well,
Yeah.
and if I could say one thing to that too, I think you need a blend of both, right? I think I made kind of like a joking LinkedIn post about this yesterday, like the fact that, a panel talk about founder-led sales versus product-led growth even seems like a contradicting narrative is wrong, right? But it becomes that way, right? So it's almost like a bit of like a funny social experiment where that was the reaction that we got, and people thought it was funny, and it is funny, but it shouldn't be that different. They should be aligned, and you should be resigned to the idea that one will become the other at some point. And if you're product led, right, that founder that I was talking about that had that distribution channel, when he got to that inflection point, sure, it was later, right? It was later on when he gets to that point, because he has 60,000 followers on Twitter. When he gets to that point, now he has to build a sales team to sell bigger ticket deals because he's selling the equivalent of penny stocks. I mean, I'm reducing it to something nominal, but it wasn't penny stocks. But obviously, you're selling something more of value. You need a human in the loop. The reason you get these frustrating messages from HubSpot all the time about like, hey, and I don't respond to those, but at the end of the day, like they have people sending you messages and they have AEs at HubSpot doing this stuff. So at some point you go back and it's a flip-flop back and forth. In our case with Mike, the thing that I saw from an ops perspective is the multiple, right? If you eventually want to sell your company and you have an agency, your multiple when you sell and when you exit is going to be lower than if you have a truly VC backable C corporation or SaaS product where you have like inelastic demand, meaning the amount that you're selling is not equivalent to the resources that are required to sell it. Whereas with an agency, it's pretty one-to-one. Like what he said, right? Delivery engine has to be 1-to-1 part sales, right? Like same thing as cooking. With SaaS, it's not like that. It could be a team of 4 people, or you take a company like Midjourney, right, where they have, I think, 47 people, and they're at like over $1 billion valuation. I mean, you could fact check that. That's actually probably a wrong number, but it's a ridiculous number. And the point is, you don't need as many people. So in Mike's case, if, let's say in 10 years, if you want to sell SaaS talent, you have to democratize the ability to get clients in the door and deliver past the founder. And other people have to be able to come in, have an onboarding experience, and they're able to learn the culture of the company, but then also the ability to acquire customers in a way that doesn't rely on one single person. And I had the same issue with the SaaS company, where I was the only person who was able to really design the product. So it goes both ways, but yeah.
Well, I'm sticking with you. So we have a lot of startups in this room. It's the nature of the Philly space. What do you do your first 30 to 60 days?
Honestly, my answer to that would have been different 8 months ago. But now what I would do is I would do the same things that we coach people on. We get people their foundational assets. Once you have an idea, you pressure test that idea. And I wouldn't build for investors first. I would build a actual business first. I would export my LinkedIn first connection, something that Mike taught me about, where you just go into settings, you go into data and privacy, you go into your connections, and you export them. And then you have it in a CSV file. You have your Excel list. You filter them by their role, filter for C-level founders, and from there, take that data set, put it into ChatGPT, and ask it to filter those companies by what the core challenge that these industries are experiencing, and then I would build for that, right? I would build for a problem instead of trying to come up with a problem to solve myself. We built a project management solution, right? So even before AI, trying to compete with a 1,000-pound gorilla like Jira is probably not a good idea. So I would first build that list out, and then I would build a messaging sequence, and I would have a deck, right? I would have a deck, and these are all things that, like this is the SaaS talent playbook of what we've been doing for people, and what I've been doing now as well, where we get that deck, that becomes your foundational asset, and then I take that, put it into different AI tools, you repurpose it for a million different purposes, right? Becomes your sales enablement deck, becomes your onboarding manual, becomes your customer discovery script, it becomes everything else, and then you run an agency-based model first, and then you try to build a SaaS around the recurring core 3 problems that your agency is addressing. And that's how I would go about building like an AI for SaaS business, right? There's a lot of answers to that question, but that's what I would do.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer. Very lead magnet oriented. If you will deliver your email at the front, we'll be sure and get you the PDF. That was good. Seriously, I'm like, I should be taking notes. Right?
Sales. Sales. He said sales. So everybody knows who Mark Cuban is, right? Does everybody watch Shark Tank?
Never seen it.
Everybody watch Shark. What does Mark Cuban say over and over and over and over to every entrepreneur that walks in? What does he like the most?
I'm sorry, but I'm out.
Right. Go out and sell something. Go out and sell something, right? Go out, find your customer, sell them something. Like usually, this will be your warm network. This will be someone who trusts you, right? That's someone that, because the thing that I was going to say before is nobody cares about what you're doing and nobody trusts you, right? Nobody trusts you until you build something where people can trust you, right? And that's one of the biggest things. It's like, so you go out, find people who trust you, and they'll buy your stuff. They'll buy what you're doing.
Yeah, what's the saying? Sales fix everything?
And I have actually one question for you.
Oh,
So I
lay it on
think
me.
what people might not know, flipping it's on its head for this question. So, and their team, and Brett up there, they ran Stratus, right, out of
Yep.
this place. That's how they have this incredible space. And they got, I think it was, you guys had like 170 people or something like that, right? So I think I think the people would like to hear from you guys. You guys went from 170 people, sold the company, now building more of a product-led growth type of platform. I think everyone would love to hear from your perspective. I mean, what was that for you guys?
Yeah, so Stratus was a building automation super app. BossTech is a business automation super app. Stratus was built from the beginning for enterprise. BossTech was built for a democratized entrepreneurship opportunity, so for everyone, but I won't say that other than right here with you friends. No, I'm never saying that again. So Stratus literally required myself and or Ryan to go and speak with the C-suite of a multifamily portfolio. So think our largest client had 700,000 apartments in the U.S., and that absolutely required C-suite conversations, and that was founder-led until we started scaling to the point of pain. My motto was hire when it hurts. It sounds like that's exactly what you did. And that then required a sales team that knew the industry, knew the tech. Those two things are hard to find. It was prop tech. How do you find a salesperson who understands the industry but can also speak technology? It was one of the most painful experiences I've ever had as a founder, and my instinct was to hire corporate because they know how to do things that I don't know how to do because I suck as an employee, so I never made it that far. But that does not translate. So if you're making notes on how to hire a VP of sales, maybe if you're a startup, really, really, really consider whether or not a corporate person can gel with the startup space. That lack of structure can be, I'm going to say detrimental, but deadly to a corporate person. And that's no denigration of that person or those people with whom I worked. They were phenomenal, but I couldn't tell them what to do, and they were comfortable being told what to do. Go to BossTech. BossTech is any small business can adopt without an IT team. Any mid-sized business can adopt without an IT team, but that does not mean that I can put a couple of social media posts out and expect people to adopt something that they don't know they need. It's a new category. Stratus was a new category as well, so I'm comfortable in the category creation, but am I comfortable in the SMB space? And so I had to look for a founder-led wedge, an opportunity to onboard hundreds, if not thousands, of small businesses simultaneously, because I can't go knocking on every door in East Falls and ask these kind and generous and loving businesses who actually know me to sit down with me and adopt my app for a couple hours. That's never going to work. That's not scalable. And I don't know a salesperson who wants to do that job either.
Mike wants to do that job.
I know, right? Yeah, actually. Like, I have a plan. So I had to look for a wedge. And so a wedge would deliver thousands simultaneously. So I look for strategic partners that I can founder-led sell to, because I like to pick up the phone too. We have a lot in common. And call that strategic partner and say, this is the value proposition for you that then you deliver to the SMB. And they already have those relationships, that trust, those clients. But I guarantee you, And I'm going to pass this question right back to you. I mentioned my dead inbox. If I never opened another email again, I wouldn't lose any deals, I'm sure of it. It's AI slop 24/7. It's those 3-line emails, somebody I don't know, you're so awesome for doing all these things, this is how I can help you, let's just jump on a 30-minute call. And I have 300 of those a day right now, and people are picking up on how to do it if they don't already know. So my question, go to market outside of founder-led sales, inbound or outbound or both, if you're willing, how are you doing it?
Yeah, first off, you should never look at your emails.
Well, okay.
No, you should. I mean, we've talked about this.
I know,
Felicity.
my bad.
So
Listen, I still get the
So
dopamine hits from Stratus, where everybody who was
You-
emailing me was important.
you should.
It doesn't happen anymore.
So I mean, just to tell everybody, I don't look at any of my emails. So I have an executive assistant that basically looks at all my emails for me. And it has made me so much more productive in everything. So does everybody know who Dan Martell is? Best-selling author, Buy Back Your Time. Great book, best-selling author, New York Times bestseller. He wrote a book called Buy Back Your Time. That book changed my life. It changed the direction of my company. So when I read his book, he stresses how much you need an EA to basically run your inbox. You have your LinkedIn inbox, you have your regular inbox, you have your calendar, all these things, and to help you. So that's the first thing that you do to scale. Is you don't
opening your emails.
You should never be looking at your emails. Like, you should never be opening your emails ever.
Listen, I guess I'm older than you.
Right? And it's just a waste of your time, like, to be looking at your emails ever, because people you said that most people in this email are wasting your time. Like,
Yeah.
if you're looking at these things, most of it is a waste of time. People want your time, right? You got to be giving your time to people who appreciate your time.
All right, fine.
Because your time's valuable.
I'll schedule a meeting with you for next
No,
week.
you don't have to.
I will.
I'm not trying to sell you on it.
You-
And so,
ABC.
right, no. ABS, actually, ABS.
you can do both.
Always be selling. So you asked, your other question was, how are you doing it,
Yep.
right? So,
Small things. No trade secrets.
no, this is huge for everybody out there right now. Has everybody ever heard of a tool or tools like Dripify? Does everybody know what that is? All right, so we've been using it now for a couple years, and it allows you to basically run automated messages out of your inbox, out of LinkedIn. You don't have to worry about anything. So that's one of our superpowers right now. So Liam's using it, I'm using it, my team's using it, and it's generating pipeline on a daily, weekly basis for us. There's even clients in the room here would say the same thing as well. So that's one of the ways we're doing it. You got to automate things. That's the only way you're going to scale.
So this is your automated go-to-market play. So this is your automated outreach to prospects. Yeah. Okay. Just making sure we're all on the same page. Any more exciting additions to that?
I think the key is, so Mike's definitely right. Like, I think that if you have a million things to do, I don't think that with the AI slop going around, reading your inbox is the best use of your time. But
Double sell. Did you all catch that?
But very
job.
important distinction though, the EA is not just responding to all emails, right? So it's her job or his job to route those emails to you if they are important. And then Mike responds or I respond, and then it becomes that like more human approach. It's a filtering mechanism, but like they're really good at getting through, the spam bots and things like this. So sometimes it's not easy to just like put a filter on it, say like who's selling to me, who's not. Like sometimes it's unclear, right? Sometimes the footer of an email can set that off. So having an EA who can really route that to the right person to set them up. And then it's also, you get more clarity, and the response you're going to get back is better. Like when I get an email and then I have someone look at that first and then tell me, hey, like, this is the contents of the email and this is important. I've done some research on this person, and like, send them an email. And then like, I'm not trying to automate that process of responding, and neither is Mike. It's filtering through the noise, which is becoming more and more difficult, which is, I think, where the buy back your time part really comes from.
And again, hint to everybody, your customers aren't reading their emails either. Right? So your customers aren't reading their LinkedIn messages. They have EAs, right? They're not reading their emails. They have people that are looking at these things. So you have to do things differently. It's a channel, right? So it's one channel that you have to use. But again, it's more about, again, what I'm trying to do, and what we're all trying to do probably in the room is try to get towards thought leadership. We're actually adding value to your audience. You're adding value to your ICP. You're helping them. It's hard. That's hard to do too, but that's really where the game is at right now. You have to understand who your ICP is, and you have to give them value at scale, right? So there's a LinkedIn guy in the room over here that could tell you more about that, right? But there's so many different channels now that you have to give value.
Yeah, I have to agree. So I think everybody in the room knows ICP, ideal client persona. You want that microphone early? I'll give it to you. I got skills. Okay, I saw a hand.
John wants the microphone.
Yeah, listen, we're friendly here. I see you.
So I just want to build off of one thing that you were just talking about. So you're talking product-led sales, old-time sales, right? Both very important, okay? So, but here's the thing, like, I also find with a lot of companies that I work for as a licensing and partnering lawyer, and shout out to Mr. Wonderful at Shark Tank, right? Yeah. A lot of companies go about trying to build business through relationships with others, and Felicity mentioned it. Can you guys talk about a little bit more about that aspect of it? Like in terms of, is it more product-led? Is it more sales? Is it in the middle? How does that come into play? Because I think that's an important factor too, right?
So you say that with the relationship again? Say that one more time.
I'm talking about like building relationships with others, channels, distribution, different things to build out what you're doing. It could even be a source of funds, actually, some type of relationship like that to help the business grow.
Yeah, I can kick us off here. So for us, kind of, I don't want to say ironically, but surprisingly, the relationships that we built and maintained for over a decade in the Internet of Things space, building automation, suddenly became less interested in what we were doing. And there's a reason for that. I told you we sold to enterprise. So there's a lot of rebuild happening for me right now. I am fortunate to have multiple exits with Ryan. And so I can usually get a foot in the door to a conversation that I think might be valuable. And I do have advocates in this space that I'm grateful for. But I am finding when I talk about that wedge, building a relationship from scratch is kind of scary for the other side. And that's surprising to me because I'm super friendly and I wouldn't tell you anything that wasn't true. It's my nature. Like, I'm from Oklahoma. You don't fib to friends. And I'm trying to make a friend in a relationship. So the trepidation and the lack of, I'm going to say trust. Listen, if you said you had a bridge to sell me, I'd buy it. I don't have trust issues in that way. I believe everybody is coming to me with value and honesty, and that I don't get that reciprocity on the other side. It's a pretty constant reminder that the world has lost trust. And the best way to bridge that gap is to be in the room. I'm just going to drop some really nerdy neuroscience and then I'm going to shut up. If you're not in the room with somebody, if you're on a Zoom, if you're on a call, and you're not making eye contact and you're not having a face-to-face moment, you are missing a neurosynchronicity that happens when you are. So if you want to make relationships, and I had this conversation a little bit earlier with a startup friend, new friend of mine, be in the room, be in the spaces where this is happening, and look someone in the eyes and shake their hand and deliver relationship value before you deliver your company value.
You know, Liam told me I had to be vulnerable during this, so I'm gonna be vulnerable. So I was known, and I still am known for many years by a lot of people as being the loud guy that sells all the time. That's the reality, right? So I actually have an amazing story that I want to tell you about John. So, how John and I met, right? So, I have been really focused for the last few years on not selling, like building relationships. Just the question that John just said, he didn't tee it up, but building relationships. Not when I'm out with people, just in normal, be in the room, don't sell to people, Mike. Don't sell to people, Mike. Right? And through that, I actually met John at an event, right? We connected, right, at an event. And
They looked in each other's eyes.
we did. At the end of the night, I dropped John off. It's the first night I met him. I dropped him off at his lot where his car was, and he looked at me and he said, Mike, I really like you a lot. I want to work with you. That was the first time I met John, right? And then we developed a relationship since then where he's now, here, and he's bringing people with him. And I mean, that's all because I wasn't selling at this event. I was just trying to connect, just trying to build a relationship with people. So you're absolutely right, Felicity. Like, get in the room with your people. Get in the room with your people. Don't, your people are, again, from a sales, your ideal customer profile. Get in rooms with them and just be yourself and build relationships, and great things will happen. Thanks, John.
I love it. Thanks, John.
Yeah, I have one thing, because it's funny, but it's true. Like, the being vulnerable thing, I talk about this. I talk about this with my wife a lot. Like, and she's here today. I told her I'd put her on the spot. She's like, "Don't do that," but I did it. Put your hand up, Sophie. Sorry. No, I mean, like, being vulnerable is so important. Like, whether it's like in business or in friendship or with just like any type of relationship, being able to connect with someone and show them that you care and you understand what they're going through. That's what sales is becoming. Like, I think sales now is, how good is your partner engine? How good are the relationships that you build? Like, at this point now, I think it truly is, like, the data is over 90% of our like business for like US talent is referrals, right? That comes from partners and our partner ecosystem. So we put our attention there. And when it comes to product, it's how well do you talk to your customers, right? Like, with AI, it's so much more important now than ever to have like these in real life events. And there's a lot of communities like SaaS and Tech Growth Meetup, Code and Coffee, Founders Alley, Ground Floor. All of us are trying to do a very similar thing. And people ask, like, how do you guys work together if you're like competing? It's like, we're not actually competing. Like, we all want the same thing. We just want to meet people that have similar and shared experiences where you can casually see each other on an occasion where there's no, like, overextending yourself. That's the one difficult part. When you're so relationship focused, you spread yourself too thin because you don't have time to really like nurture those. So I think when you're vulnerable and you can say to them, hey, like, I actually can't get together for a drink this weekend, and I actually don't think I can do it next weekend either, but I love that I get to see you at these events, or I love that I get to see you when I do. I think that's important because you don't really have the bandwidth to hang out with every person in this room all the time. It's not going to happen. As much as we would all like to do that, and you meet someone, you're like, wow, like that person could be a great friend of mine. Like, not really. But that's why this ecosystem in Philly is so awesome with these events. It's having those times and those spaces where you can really hang out and have those like shared moments. So being upfront and transparent only helps, right? I think if you play the corporate card all the time around like, yeah, I'm just doing this and we're circling back and it's this, it's like, dude, I never want to see you again, like ever, right? Like that is not fun. No investor resonates well with that anymore. You have to be yourself, and if you're not being yourself, I don't have anything cool to end that with, but you get it.
No, I'm gonna say something else. I'm gonna get vulnerable again.
Wow, you've opened the
So,
Pandora's box
so
here,
Liam, what is it? What are you, a Gen Z again, or a Gen? What are you again?
I'm Gen Z.
Gen Z. So these guys, man, they are sensitive. I'm telling you, these Gen Z guys are super sensitive. They make you like really think like what you're saying and like how you're saying it, right? So there's a whole different thing about how, you know, that happens. But one time, you know, this guy's 26, I'm 52, and he's coaching me like 3 months ago, like how to build relationships with customers. This was no joke. Like, he's like, Mike, just build relationships. Just be yourself. Don't sell. Like it was like, and then I had an unbelievable call, meeting, dinner with a client because of that, right? So, yeah, I mean, I think that's what founder, you know, so if I'm sales and that's founder led growth is more empathetic, I think. I mean, it's more listening, it's more empathetic, and you know, that's again what he immediately brought in, more relationship building, more build relationship with somebody, they'll buy from you, right?
You know, Mike, this is the second time you've been on this stage where I thought you might cry.
I cry a lot.
I like this.
Jen.
I like this.
My girlfriend's in the room, Jen Graff.
Look at you two.
They're next to each other, yeah.
Y'all,
And
if that's not
I cry a lot. I
I
cry a lot.
like it. I approve. As
You want to tell everybody how I cry, Jen?
No, she doesn't
Okay.
want that job. All right, y'all. Let's I know everybody's thirsty, and I think there's another pizza left, but before we do that, let's open it up to some questions. Does anybody have any run? We got a runner, don't worry.
Come on up.
Sorry.
Brian's got a question.
Does Michael own anything other than a sports coat, or is that just
Yeah, this
standard
blue
issue?
jacket's the only one I have.
Okay, just making sure. Is there a subscription, or?
Did Kevin French put you up to ask me that question?
I don't know this guy, but keep him away from me. Oh, Tim has a question.
I got a question, and not about your sports coat. So
They're all cut off from
There you
drinks
go.
for the rest of the
Yeah,
night, by the way.
I know. I'm stuck between
Brett,
the
you
two
got
of them.
me back there, over there?
Ask me about my sport jacket.
So I work with a lot of founder-led SaaS companies and on marketing, and something I constantly come up against is what I call beautiful baby syndrome, where the founder has spent years building the company, building the product, and they look at it and see how wonderful it is, and tend to have this attitude that as soon as everyone else sees it, they're going to recognize how beautiful that baby is as well. So when they finally do have the opportunity to talk to a prospect and they break through all that noise, it really becomes about them, and it can be feature vomit. And you know, they talk about how wonderful all of the bells and whistles are, rather than that empathy that you mentioned, and connecting with the prospect and their goals and their challenges and how you're going to solve for that. And those conversations tend to become very transactional. And like you said, Mike, but people don't care. They don't care about how wonderful your product is. They care about like how you're going to, what problems you're going to solve. So I'm curious what your thoughts are on how people in this room can create that empathy and make it more about the prospect and not about their service.
Yeah, first off, we got to get his contact information so we can sell to him later. Because he works with SaaS companies. So that's what you said, right? Yes. So I'm the sales guy. But so so again, just to tell you, one of the things that we learned as salespeople, Liam, we learned sales process, right? Does anybody ever learn sales process in the room? Has anybody ever looked at Sandler or, solution selling or anything like that? Yes. Right? You can. What's your name, sir? Me? Yeah. What was your name? Brian. No, not Brian. The one that asked the question. Jim. It's a process. You have to learn a process, right? Empathy does not, again, you don't learn empathy, you don't wake up. Okay, Jen will tell you this, I didn't become empathetic by just going, yeah, I'm empathetic now. I had to learn it. I had to learn how to become more empathetic with people. So it's a process where you have to learn. You have to learn a system, right? You have to learn how to talk to people, right? And care. Right, because it's not going to come naturally, right? So everybody should be going through some type of sales methodology or something where your clients your feature vomit, right? That's not how you sell to someone.
Perhaps we should say if it doesn't come naturally, because I have a completely different take.
You think it becomes naturally?
For some of us, empathy comes very naturally. It's good to have a diverse room. I think that's important. That said, as a woman in technology, I've discovered that every single time I can drop or eliminate ego, I have an opportunity to create a competitive advantage for myself by delivering a feedback loop to myself and that prospect. And in doing so, by not taking something personally, by not listening, I actually can far surpass my competitors. Because when you are given the gift of feedback as opposed to feature vomiting, you then, if you act on it, again, drop your ego, good with follow-up. If you act on it, you have done something that I've discovered few competitors can. So just a slightly different take. It's not a process for me. It's not a method. I do have to sometimes take a deep breath and remind myself that this is not personal because it is my pretty baby. But yeah, don't fall in love with your product. Fall in love with your client.
That's great.
Yeah. Diverse rooms, my friend. This is why no manuals, too. No manuals.
Any more questions?
Yes. I heard you speak of not selling to the customer, but I'm trying to find out if you can scale not selling to the customer and focusing on a product from 0 to 10, which one is most important on both sides? Because I imagine you want to marry the two at one way, and when they converge, where is that number?
I could take that one. I think that they happen in tandem, but I think the way that I would do it now is build distribution before you really go all in on building product. But you have to have something that you're ready to sell and get in front of people. So I think that starting point has to be come up with something that is truly either different. You have different ways of differentiating. You have cost leadership, innovation, or customer service, right? I mean, that's what you're taught in business school. Those are the things that I think Porter's 5 forces, that type of stuff. So I think it's that holds true when you're building from 0 to 1 or 0 to 10, however you want to call it. I think you start out with an idea, and at the beginning, you are selling a dream, but you don't have to be selling it. You can be getting feedback, and you let that define your product roadmap. and you figure out ways to turn that feedback into features. I was told by a Y Combinator back company, they're called Wingback. They gave me one really, really key piece of advice. They said, if you get 100 different pieces of feedback, right, 100 different lines, different like feature requests for an MVP, instead of trying to build 100 different features for 100 different disparate requests, what you could do is use, in those days, like 5 years ago, like statistical analytics softwares like SPSS or now ChatGPT or Claude, and you can take that and find the underlying problem that's causing the 100 lines of feedback. So maybe it's 5 features that you build, now all of a sudden you have 100 lines of feedback taken care of. So I think you're building those two things in tandem the entire time. And I think that's the importance of a co-founder. YC's methodology is, we tend to invest in companies that have 2 co-founders, one technical, one non-technical. Like there's a reason for that. And it's also an empathy thing, right? Like I think typically engineers are, right, total stereotype, but like this is the way that they look at it. And this is statistically just the way it is. The non-technical person typically has, whether it's empathy or just by having enough shots on goal with communicating with people, a better ability to understand someone's problems. Whereas engineers tend to build in silos if they don't understand or have that human connection all the time. And you need that sparring partner, right? And in agency, it's a little different, but I think you're always building in tandem. It's a back and forth. It's a back and forth, but I would build distribution before product every single time. We're not, for the most part, visionary founders. You look at Steve Jobs or an Elon Musk and you think, oh, that's what I want to do. But now it's, in my opinion, I mean, it's just totally different, the way that I would approach it, fix the real problem.
All right, anything else? Everybody's like, no, give me some pizza. Oh, okay, no, we're
Tim,
keep going.
So one thing, so for anyone that's not Gen Z, we had this enterprise sales forum a couple years ago, and so I actually picked up Mark Birch's book, and I know you guys are programming of the year, but how are you guys using these in-person events to drive your pipeline, and how can SaaS companies take some of that and build their own community, their own ecosystem to drive pipeline?
So we're focused first. I mean, just to let you know, Tim, we're like distribution. I mean, we want to bring the community together. I mean, we're not really selling in these. We're just not. We're not really selling in these events. We want to get. I mean, the goal, I think, is to get to a certain amount of people in the room, then we might think about that, right? So one of the things that we do is our clients and our partners are showcased at these events, right? So when you build a community, right? So our speakers, in many cases, are our clients. Just to tell you, like, they're our clients. We're giving our clients a platform on which to speak, right? So that's a big component of it right now. We have the podcast room that Liam actually put together in this event. We're trying to put together an amazing curated event with the programming, and we want to get people here, right? That's the main. It's not selling to people right now at all, I don't think, right? So it's more of a place where our customers can go and where we could get together and hang out with people, right? And have a beer with people we know. Chris, right? So I haven't connected. Chris is here. He sent me, he's like, I haven't been to a networking event in 5 years. I decided to come to yours, Mike. And then I'm talking to him and he's like, Mike, I'm crushing the world. And I'm talking to companies, I'm investing. I'm like, well, let's talk, right? That's what it's all about, right? Right? So it's more about people coming in and saying, hey, this is really cool, what you're building. Let's talk. Okay, great. So it's not, does that make sense, Tim?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I figured that would be your answer.
Yeah.
Build that groundswell community that's going to allow, like in my community, it's all about greater Philadelphia AI, right? Like the goal is to build a groundswell of AI and develop it. So it's the
Yeah, I think like again, like shout out to like Eric over there and Founders Alley and Amari. Like Amari actually, Eric's like Founders Alley co-founder. He was the first person that I met at a networking event in Philly when I moved here 3.5 years ago. And during that time period, my wife and I were like new in Philly, and I didn't know anyone. And he didn't have Founders Alley at the time. He didn't even have his app community at the time. Like, it's a community. Tony Nolan, and Chris, they're just people that I can hang out with. And I think like the community in Philly, Tim, not to put you on the spot, but like, we spoke about like our events, like that's what it's about, right? Like how do you connect the dots between like the disparate events in Philadelphia where you have something where the ecosystem can come together, and like maybe you guys can find clients here, and right, like you guys find partners and things like that. But I think for the organizers and the events, like we get such a kick out of just having the space and like Felicity and Ryan and Brett like sharing and being open about this. Like this is excuse my language, like this is a fucking music venue, right? Like that's what this is. Like that's where we're in right now, right? So it's like this is insane just to be here with all of you, and like Philly Tech Week is coming around the corner and we're all working together on the same things, right? So that's an important thing to keep in mind. And if your parents are watching, I'm sorry.
Yeah, just another data point, Tim.
haven't
Like
met my
like
dad.
now that you're asking that question, like there's other people now. It's awesome. Like Chris here. Like I don't know if Mike Avon, is he still in the room somewhere? Right. So like these guys are just coming in. They're like, yeah, I really like what you're doing, Mike. You're hustling. Let's work together. It's amazing, right? I mean, and so it's. That sort of thing is back to relationships too, back to building relationships. Just put something cool, bring your audience together, right? And people want to work with you.
I think that's the closing note. If you build it, they won't necessarily come. But if you build a relationship, they will.
Absolutely. So let's close it out. I wanted to give a huge thank you to Felicity and the Falzer Club and Boss Tech. Like this place is amazing. And we're going to be doing this. We're doing this event every last Wednesday of each, basically
Third Wednesday.
Oh, we're doing third Wednesday
Third
now?
Wednesday.
Oh, we're doing third Wednesday. So we're doing it every month,
Note to
right?
self.
Everybody come out, right? And thank you so much. And we're all going to hang out. We have pizza and we have beer.
Well, I mean,
So-
we don't know about the pizza situation.
Pizza?
We don't know. It could be gone.
Pizza's right there.
You hope.
All right, great. Thanks for coming out,
Thanks
everybody.
for coming, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.